I'm back. So I'm going to try one more. And I can't believe that I stayed on topic for the two already. So this will be fun. See what happens here. So this is the one where I want to talk about why I use tarot paired up with my personality type consulting. So the personality typing helps you figure out your cognitive function stack 4-pack, okay? 4 personalities, basically, or 4 different cognitive function stacks that help you strengthen your quantum computer of ego, conscious ego, and the unconscious id shadow, also known as the inner child, okay? So you can eventually work from ego to the subconscious defender for integration of self-actualization and heal that. Ego establishes law and order, rules, authority, responsibility. If you live by the law, you die by the law. You need more than the law to get by in life. So you have to humble yourself, and that's what integrating the subconscious defender is. Self-actualization is recognizing that you're not all weaknesses or you're not all strengths. You're a combination of both, and allowing mercy. Once that's done, then we can begin to see it creates like a window to the shadow to expose that shadow more into the light of ego, conscious state, for healing and integration after that. And once we can heal some of our more untamed, wild aspects of the shadow id through those little peaks, that's where wisdom comes from. That's where individuation comes from. That's where we start to recognize who we really are, why we're really here, what we feel we're really supposed to do with those strengths and weaknesses. And it's usually not only for our own benefit, but to benefit the world around us as well. We've all got some gift that we're meant to be here to make the world a better place with, whatever it is, big or small. Like somebody may say, well, I'm just a cook or whatever. Well, you know what? Food is a ministry. You heal people with that food. You give people joy with that food. You give people nourishment with that food. It's not just teachers and preachers and doctors okay. You bring people justice as a lawyer. You help people through difficult situations in their life that they wouldn't know how to navigate otherwise. Justice is a strong emotion in people, whatever your purpose is, right? We're not all light workers, shadow workers, healers, psychologists, whatever, right? We're not all ministers either. So, yeah. Anyway, we all have a ministry, though, is what I'm getting at. And we find that within the shadow, in the id, when that gets integrated. So I help a person find out their personality type, which helps them break down their functions and which ones are probably tripping them up, and they can start to see that more clearly in their behavior as they understand them. They can understand the process to help tackle those specific functions, to integrate them with a little more ease. Recognition is the biggest part of the battle, although that's not the full battle. You have to do something about a problem once you actually recognize it. But if you can't even recognize it, then there's nothing you can really do, right? So that's the personality typing. But then I also use tarot along with that because, sometimes people just don't know how to navigate a situation, and it's stuck down there in that shadow realm, somewhere in the subconscious defenses or superego or in the shadow of the unconscious. And Carl Jung, first of all, say we all kind of carry around these different archetypal patterns throughout our life, okay? We all have our views on what a mother is. We all have our views on what a father is. We all have our views on what a lover is. And you know what? Our views are not all the same, even though, like, basically a mother is someone that had children, right? But is that a good mother or a bad mother, or what constitutes, we've got teaching and student, and, we have these mindsets of what different roles mean. Who's a sage? Who's a wise person? Who's a rogue? Who's a magician? We define these archetypes, which is exactly what I'm getting at here, okay? And we've all got them. And some of them are healthy and some of them aren't. We can have a bad mother archetype or lover archetype, or we can, unhealthy. I mean by that, or we can have a positive understanding of that. That's where some of the mental issues come in, like in the mental health field with negative archetypes that are running amok in people's minds. So the shadow work can help heal some of that, but sometimes we need to find a way to address it. Well, Carl Jung used to use the dream state, and he would have his patients keep dream journals, dream diaries, and he would analyze all of their dreams to help them find a deeper meaning in it, where he believed that when we're in dream state, and I agree with this too, a lot of people don't even remember their dreams anymore, or they don't even realize that they are dreaming. When you're in REM sleep, you're dreaming whether you remember it or not, okay? You're going into dream state. Anyway, he would use the dream state in those dreams to interpret and pull out shadow elements that were trying to be healed while they were in their sleep state, because it was too hard for their ego to address it when they were awake. I don't know if you've ever recognized that about a dream that you've had. Sometimes you'll have a dream to heal a past situation, and it's going to play out all weird in the dream unless you can analyze it and interpret it and understand what the different symbols meant. Because archetypes are a form of symbolism. We create symbols and synchronicities to match up with things to categorize and organize in our mind, right? I mean, it's a symbol to be a mother. It's a symbol to be a father. It's a symbol to be a teacher or a student, and we can kind of tweak how we define that within our own minds, actually. When we think about what's a good student or a bad student or whatever, right? He believed that the dream state helped him do that. He also believed that astrology could be key to help when a patient was, when he couldn't get a breakthrough with using dreamwork with these clients that were carrying negative behavioral complexes, right, with different archetypes or symbols like that in their life. His daughter actually did natal birth charts, and he would have his daughter write up a natal birth chart on his clients, so that he could see if some of the person's personal astrology would give a hint as to what was going on and causing the blockade. So he did believe in the power of astrology to help clear up some of that shadow work as well. He had a theory about the collective unconscious and subconscious, how it was tied to extroverted intuition, which I believe is true, and that it was like a universal source for knowledge to pull from, the Akashic records. I'm going to give you all the names for it here in a second. Now, tarot cards, the more traditional ones, not all these oracle decks with weird little sayings and all this stuff on them, but the traditional types of tarot cards are based off of astrology and astrological energies. I'm talking about the ones that have the major arcana and the minor arcana. They're based off of planetary poles and powers, archetypes, symbols, synchronicities, those energetic patterns. So it's kind of like a read your own or choose your own adventure book on cards with these archetypal symbols of the astrology energies, which have different lessons tied to them. If you learn astrology, like Saturn gives tests and he's a lesson teacher. Pluto is transformation. It breaks down and builds up. It's kind of like the phoenix rising. Uranus, the lesson behind the planet Uranus is be flexible, because there's unforeseens in life. Neptune is about, I can't remember that one. I'm not full up on my astrology. Venus is about feminine energy, love, seeing the silver lining, art, being artistic, creative, beautifying things with a caring nature. Mars is about force and action, and it's a masculine energy. It's like the war planet. It's ego driven, force and action, anger, fiery tempers. Let's see, is there any other ones? Jupiter is the sky hook of luck. Jupiter paired up to another planet adds luck or extra strength, whatever that planet's energetic pull. The moon deals with your emotions, especially shadowed emotions. Your sun sign is tied to your ego. Your rising sign, it's like your aspirational nature. Okay. That'd be the first house sign in your birth chart. Again, I'm not an astrologer, so I'm just giving you some basics as an example to the energetics. And the tarot cards are based off of all those energetics and their symbols. So, anyway, the reason I wanted to say that is I find them another means to tap in. I think when in dream state that we do tap into the collective unconscious, subconscious, the hive or God mind. When I was a kid, I used to call it the Library of Universal Knowledge before I even knew what it was. And historically, throughout time, religions and philosophers have called it the Akashic records. So, yeah, we're talking about the Akashic records. They're all the same thing. And you tap into it through extroverted intuition, and then you hone it in and you recognize it through introverted intuition. Carl Jung used the dream state. He analyzed the dreams of others with them involved to do this. When I do a tarot reading, now, okay, I'm going to go a little further. Edgar Cayce also used the dream state in his work. And he would go into the dream state or a trance, which is also the dream state. And he would go in and dig around in the Akashic records and analyze others and then bring that information back. Okay. I don't know how included in that process others were for him to get permission to get in there, okay? But it's not that easy for everybody to just go digging around in your records. They really got to be some master like he was to even do that, okay? Very few people can like do that, okay? Carl Jung analyzed the dreams of others with them. They were actively involved, right? He didn't actually go into the dream state. They were in their dream state in their own records, and he analyzed what they presented to him. Edgar Cayce actually went and dug around, came back, and told people, this is what I saw in the Akashic records on you, right? Okay, so with tarot cards, you can do what's called a collective or a general reading. You can think of a person and do a reading, and you can get information, and it's coming from that Akashic records or the collective unconscious, that universal library of knowledge, to give some information about that person, right? That's like doing a general search on the internet of a person, like public records, right? But the private records, that person has to be involved to look at the private records. So if you came to someone and got a personal reading, then you are giving them permission through the cards to go a little bit deeper into your private records. But they're never going to be able to go into your private records more than what you allow. You see what I'm saying? Like there has to be a permission slip signed, I guess is the way to put that. Unless God ordains it and opens that up, or whatever you want to call it, the library keeper, the wisdom keepers, the record keepers in the library, whatever you want to call that, spirit guides, right? Okay. People have said all kinds of stuff. I don't need to go into all that. But that's why I believe that tarot works in a very similar manner to dream work, to access that unconscious, subconscious side of the mind, to work on it in more specific ways sometimes for that healing process. Other ways, so I just said the dream state can access the records, the collective unconscious. Tarot cards and astrology natal birth charts access aspects of the records, okay? Another way, this is why people always talk about meditation practices. Meditation. I can't use meditation because I have introverted thinking, eternal child function, and it never shuts off until I'm in full dream state. So it's either dreams or it's tarot cards for me, okay? My brain doesn't shut off, or I mean, it's not that it has to fully shut off. It won't relinquish its own control or action to let that happen fully. But some people really get, the insight, the ah moment when they're in meditation. That's almost like Edgar Cayce's trance state or whatever. And then the one I would never suggest, that people have also said have tapped them into that God mind, or all the names that I just gave: Library of Universal Knowledge, Akashic Records, Collective Unconscious, is drugs like DMT, mushrooms, acid, that kind of stuff. People say, I had a God moment or whatever. That's not sustainable. It's not healthy. I don't even know if you can fully trust that information, because you're also killing brain cells. So there's other cognitive issues going on in that release. But yeah, those are all different ways that people have tapped into that. So I just wanted to talk about that. And some people are really concerned, like with tarot cards. Like I said, I use it like a replacement to dreamwork, because it's, quite frankly, it's faster and it's just as effective. A lot of people don't even get good sleep or enough sleep. They don't remember their dreams. They don't keep dream journals. And they don't have to. If I use tarot, they can just come talk to me someday and we do a reading and it gets the job done. So some people worry that it's like seducing spirits or something. It's not. It's not. People have said things like, well, my spirit guides this or that. Well, if they actually understood what's going on with the astrological energies, it's about intuition. If they're talking about anything, if maybe there's spiritual energy in that library or in that record source, like I said, the librarians or the record keepers, if that's what they're talking about. But they're like saying guardian angels have better things to do than to help a tarot reader do a reading for you. I'm just going to say that when they're like saying this is doing this and this is doing that. They have other jobs, okay? So it's not like some outside spirit. It's more like telepathy. Like if I'm doing a reading with you, your intuition is tied to the source. My intuition is tied to the source. And it's like we just hook up our two cognitive brain interfaces together with a USB cord to transfer files. Okay. And we use the cards as the cord or the medium between us to be able to do that. And then my intuition reads what the cards are and explains it to you. I hope that made sense, because yeah, that's what I wanted to point out, that it's really an intuitive based thing, a cognitive function that we all have access to, as to how that works. Now I can go into tarot and astrology and the energetics of astrology. Then I would get a little spiritual with you, because I would go right to Bible scripture about powers and principalities. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with powers and principalities and rulers and spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay. In the beginning, God made the heavens and the earth. He made the sun to rule by day and the moon and stars to rule by night. Rule. Okay. The sun is like a bridegroom. He's given a line to run his course. Nowhere on earth can you avoid his proclamation. I kind of see it like the planets and stars, sun and moon and all that are, if God created it all for his purpose, by him, for him, etc., he wrote his whole story upon the stars. You can see them like the Supreme Court, okay? And they have these energetics and these symbols, archetypes, synchronicities, these lessons that they carry. And as they go in motion, they affect us personally through our own natal chart, which gives us a specific wiring to them, different than the people next to us. But then there's an overall wiring collectively. That's the difference between introverted and extroverted. One's more personal, one's the collective, okay? And those energies that are there to teach us lessons and progress us along in this human experience, because we all know that this life experience is one giant learning ground, and it never ends. So, yeah, I think I can talk more about all this in another video. I think I did a good job, and we're at 20 minutes already. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope you got something out of this. Have a good day.